All right, so what we're going to be doing is going through the activity, which career is right for me. And what
Yep.
it is based on John Holland, who's a career theorist,
Yep.
and it's called Holland Code. So he sort of came up with these 6 different areas
Yep.
and kind of, pigeonhole, I guess, people into those areas to help people understand, their skills and their strengths.
Yep.
Um, and then you can sort of look at why why you enjoy certain work, why you don't enjoy certain workplaces, and just your sort of natural strengths and how they come through. It's like
Yep.
when you volunteer, some role into organizing a party, you tend to sort of choose a particular role, just go, oh, well, I'll do the, because that's what comes easier to you. So
Yeah.
that's sort of based on, interests and personality types. And I'll show you at the end the actual test that I did, the self-directed search that actually costs money. I did it as a staff member, but there are sort of different things that have been adapted to it. So I'll show you a bit of a test at the end. That's
Yep.
a bit more than the 6 that we look at, but that's just a bit of a taste. So what we're going to do is go through each of those activities.
Yep.
Because it's you here, and if you're happy to sort of explain, this is what I do when I work one-on-one, is
Yep.
that I get you to pick one of the 6 and then I say why,
Yep.
because that's where the insight comes. So I'll do that with you if you're happy to
Yep.
do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we can sort of look at the actual 6 areas where it comes
Yep.
from. So I won't tell you that yet because I think
Yep.
people are a bit biased. Oh, hang on. Hang on a second. It just jumped. Oh, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. That's okay. All right. So the first one, so it's got 6 different industries. So the first one there, the art industry.
Yep.
From here, so checking authenticity, which is one Jen chose. She's sort of that research type space. Managing the art gallery, framing the artwork, PR, that sort of connections, selling the artist, arranging the delivery, and then the artist. So which one did you choose?
I choose as well the checking of fantasy
Okay.
for the research and just for the I just have a really good eye for detail.
Yeah. So you'd be looking into that, sort of exploring it, making sure it's the real, what it is, and following up on the research. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? Why you grabbed that one?
I'm not really the type to be good at managing, or I've done framing artwork before, and that's definitely not a thing I enjoyed. But I just love the idea of checking the fantasy of it, seeing if it's real or if it's fake. I just I just have that desire to research everything and the deeper meaning behind it.
Yeah, right. And the truth that lies behind.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So that's, I mean, that role, obviously it exists massively. And I always think of, Aboriginal art. I think there's a lot of, people sort of just doing dot artwork and then saying, oh, it's Aboriginal.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
lot
Yeah.
a lot of work gets done in that space. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, to the sport. I'm just slightly hiding that because I think we're on there. So assistant coach. So it's
Hmm.
not actually the coach. There's no coach there in that role. So assistant coach. So it means you're not in charge, but you're, second. Player welfare manager was that one there, which is an S. Sports statistician.
Yep.
Although I like my numbers, I guess my lack of sporting interest pulls me away from that one. Sports person, player agent, and designing the uniforms. Which one did you go for there?
With that one, I went with assistant coach
Yep.
because yeah, I wouldn't want to be the main coach, but I would love to work with the main coach and just working out ideas and
Mm-hmm.
just I just would be a good assistant to a main coach.
Yeah. What sort of skills or what sort of personality traits do you bring to being an assistant?
Um, like energy, positivity, um, obviously ideas to share with the main coach,
Yeah.
good listening skills, obviously, as well.
Yeah. Do you have those sort of, I guess sometimes the coach might have the vision, the sort of big picture, and the
Yep.
assistant coach often will be someone who does sort of makes things happen
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
into there. Yeah.
Yeah. And they would be able to go, oh, that's a good idea, or that's not a good idea, kind of thing.
Yeah. And that player welfare manager is, I guess, the well-being of the players. Is that something that interests you as well?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. As opposed to the others.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. Gardening. Business owner, gardener. So the difference between the gardener and the horticulturist is the horticulturist knows, all the technical terms and the theory and everything around the plants, whereas the gardener is more sort of making it happen, doing it, digging it, more hands-on. The
Yep.
horticulturist got the information. Landscape designer, so that's not necessarily touching the landscape at all other than designing it. So that could even be done on a computer, but just
Yep.
laying it out. Customer liaison, talking to the customers, the bookkeeper or the business owner. What did you go?
I looked up all of them, and I looked up the landscape designer, and I actually really like the idea of that. That's
Mm,
designing the space of it, and just seeing if everything will work out, with the gardener and the other person.
mm,
So I love the creativity of landscape designer.
yeah,
You're designing the space for the customer and their ideas.
yeah, yeah. So actually really understanding the customer, unless
Yeah,
it's someone who said, just do what you want, but most customers wouldn't in that space. Um,
yeah,
so there'd be, yeah, and then sort of giving people what they want through your creativity.
yeah,
Interesting. It's still customer service, but on a sort of different level, isn't it?
yeah, like
It's the
creative customer.
liaisons, the chit chat and the emails and the blah blah sort of the
That'll be boring.
communications. What would be the least likely there?
Probably for me, business owner, or probably bookkeeper actually.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, yeah, not fun.
Doing all the numbers. All right, let's have a look at the next one. So tourism, booking forecaster. So being able to kind of, which would be a really scary job at the moment, trying to forecast in the pandemic, but sort of,
Mm.
I guess, preparing for, the summer break or the winter break, or, what sort of numbers we're going to get, what's forecast with the weather and things like that, that sort of are preempting what's happening.
Mm.
Conference coordinator is our S, and sort of doing all the, sort of for conference. So it would be a little bit of everything. Would also be sort of communicating with people, getting everybody on board, dealing with all the staff, making it all happen. Hotel manager, interior designer of rooms in like a resort, maintenance person in the grounds or in the building, and then the booking agent actually taking bookings. What did you
Mm.
choose?
I looked up, and I really like the sound of interior designer of rooms.
Ah,
Sounds good. It's creative.
yeah,
Um, I like the idea of creating and designing rooms. I'm
yeah.
very good at looking at, like, for example, if the hotel was in a certain location, I'd be able to go, oh yeah, this is the location. Say it's near an ocean. This
Mm,
is the design of the room we should go with.
yep. So you're so can you sort of visual? I've got a friend who used to be an interior designer, and she can visualize. So she can look at a room and
Yep,
visualize all the furniture in there and tell me
yep.
whether it's going to be a good fit. Are you sort of quite visual like that?
I'm very visual. Um, I'm actually very creative as well, like not in the sense of drawing and painting and all that, but I love that type of creativity, like
Mm,
building and creating stuff.
okay,
Mm.
interesting. What would be your least likely there?
Um, Probably maintenance person.
Yeah,
I do know about that job or career, and I've looked into it, and it's not. I would say it's fairly boring.
yeah, yeah. Unless that's what you like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I saw someone chose that in our weekly group, you know, the activities in the Facebook group, and she just liked the idea of it. She's capable physically to do it, and
Mm.
just work by herself, just sort of get on with it.
Yeah.
That's the job, you know. So that was appealing.
Mm.
The autonomy. All right. Let's have a look at in the movies, in the film industry, which is more down Gold Coast way than Sunshine Coast. So I'll just read it because it's a little bit hidden. So lighting technician, set builder, which is your R, actor, hotel manager. So set builder, I've had a client who was a set builder. So when they're, you know, you think that they're in a bedroom filming, and it's actually just a set.
Yep.
And I guess it depends on the space they've got, but he actually had to then move that out, rebuild the lounge room, move the lounge room out, rebuild the bedroom. I couldn't believe it. I kind of figured that they would have a few rooms, and I guess, you know, how wealthy they are and how much they've hired, but he had to kind of keep recreating that set. It was sort of physical job, but also quite creative as well as to how it looks and creating a certain theme and feel. But yeah, I had no idea. It was sort of like on, off, on, off. Yeah, sort of not, you know, every 5 minutes, but certainly, you know, they would be changing that scene. So
Mm.
it was a bit of insight into that role, set builder. You got to follow the films, of course, so it's not always sitting in your own suburb. Okay, so actor, hotel manager, assistant director. So again, the second one, and costume support or lighting technician. Which one did you choose?
Well, funny enough, I went for the set builder of this one as well.
It, it's more
It-
creative than you think. Yeah,
yeah, and I love like shows like, for example, like Walking Dead and
yeah.
like zombie shows where they can completely morph a whole city into something that's like out of another world. I love that.
Okay,
I love that type of stuff.
okay. And what do you think you'd bring to that role as set builder?
Like visualization, obviously imagination as well, because you've got to imagine each scene as it is and what it
Yeah,
would look like. Um, Obviously the physical side, the technical side of it as well.
yeah,
So it'd be
yeah.
like engineering.
It would be quite physical.
Yeah,
And you're okay with that?
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So certainly a bit of movement, a lot of variety. You wouldn't
Mm,
be bored in that sort of job, I don't think.
not at all, no.
And what would be the least likely there?
Probably definitely actor because I don't like being the center of attention.
Um, oh, yeah, there. Interestingly, many actors are very shy.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
Because they're not actually being themselves.
No.
Being some character that someone designed. So we think actors are very confident, and I remember watching Nicole Kidman talk about that, and she was like, oh no, we're not at all. Of course some are, but no, lots of
Mm.
introverts up there being actors. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we've got one more. So that's the last one. Two for yes, six. Okay, so this one's in the building industry, massive industry on the Sunshine Coast, of course. So property agent, property developer is the S. Sorry, property developer is the
E.
E. Sorry, hadn't said the E before. I was just thinking which one. Yes, of course, the E. They're sort of but they're the visionary. They're before anything, years before anything's even sort of starts to be developed or created, I should say. They're sort of okay, I'm going to set up massive, like that down at the back of Caloundra that's sort of growing. Well, property developers would have been looking at that probably 15 years ago. So they're very sort of the forward thinking and very much sort of focused on this is what we're doing. A lot of property developers would get a lot of resistance with people around them, or what, it's often big and creating change. So they've got to be quite strong and quite focused. But yeah, by the time things start getting built, they're well gone on to the next one. So they're sort of before things happen. They're the planners before it. They see opportunities, I guess. Builder. So the property developer was E. Yeah. Builder, the engineer, building inspector. I know a lot of people who have not able to be doing building have gone into building inspection. It's less physical, but still that knowledge. And then architect or the property agent, which is like deals with all the real estate, the rentals.
Yeah.
Which one did you have for that?
Architect, which I've looked at before. That's a really interesting career.
What's interesting for you?
Just building side of it, like how they just design buildings, and it's like designed in a certain way to look a certain way. I like that type of stuff.
Okay.
Like Brisbane, for example, has a lot of tall buildings built a certain way.
Okay. So and I had a client in architecture, town planning, sort of looking at how the streetscapes are and community spaces are as well. They can visualize beyond visualize.
Yeah, I know.
See it in their head. Do you watch that Grand Designs show?
No.
Oh, that's a good one. Often it's owner builder sort of thing, and they just have this vision. It blows my mind. Like they can see these crazy sort of designs, and they can see it in their head prior. So yeah, very capable visually. Okay, what would be your least one there?
Probably builder. Too physical for my liking.
Okay, it's pretty physical, isn't it? Particularly in our hot state. Okay, so this is how it sort of converts. So it's RIASEC, RIASEC. Now we've only done 6, so it's pretty minimal caption, and you've you've got a bit of a pattern there. I was going to say you've almost got every letter, but you've got some pattern there. And so so this is just how the little letter behind. Looking at it there, which I probably didn't explain to anyone else who's doing it, but the letter that corresponds with each job title, if you record those, and then you can see here. So R is our realistic, so they're our doers. They're product orientated, so they sort of want that outcome. And a lot of people I work with will say that, like, they want to be able to visually see what they've created, and that might not be necessarily a building like a builder, but it might just be a particular product, or they might put together a work booklet. They like to sort of visually see an outcome.
Totally.
And if they don't get it, they kind of feel a bit unfulfilled. Like I'm just wasting my time, even though they're not. If that's what's important to them. So investigative are the thinkers, the thought, the planning, the sort of forward thinking. A for artistic, which I think you got 3 of.
I did.
6. They're our creators, so you don't have to be sculpting clay work, but it can also be sort of just creative mind as well. In that artistic space. But I guess with art, or I'll explain it anyway, the others are social. They're all our interacting helpers. Enterprising, all the managers and business owners and things like that. They were the persuaders, so they're able to sort of get people on board.
Yep.
with them and their vision. And then conventional, they're your organizers.
Yep.
I think you had one of those.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and some of them you said would be a bit boring. So that's they quite like to be able to be quite organized and structured, which is
Yep.
often fairly opposite to artistic. All right, so let's just have a look at them. Oh, see, I knew I'd forget that. And go to the website. I just want to have a quick look on in here. So this is coming from the self-directed search, the one that I have done, but just to sort of go through. So realistic, like to work with things,
Yep.
so then people. So they're sort of that hands-on doers. Often described as genuine, sensible, practical type people. You know, those who just get in and get on with it. Then we've got the investigative, and they're the thinkers.
Yep.
They prefer the ideas than people and things. So they'd rather sort of be in that sort of concept type space. Artistic, work with ideas more than things. They're usually described as open, creative, independent, emotional, impulsive, original. So that's where those sort of new ideas can come into space as well. They're sort of a bit more innovative. Social, they're all our, things that are totally people-based. Comes from a social group. Enterprising, working with people and ideas more so than things. So often, it is quite the vision and sort of, taking those risks and that sort of space, but which is about sort of solving problem for people, coming up with the ideas to solve the problem, but they're not actually sort of the doing. Someone else does the doing. Conventional, they're our organised, working with papers and numbers, described as practical, careful, efficient. Efficient always comes with these people. Orderly, and they thrive in that orderly space.
Yeah.
So if you had a team of these 6 people, it would make a really nice combination. Like your workplace, you might have spaces where there's 60% are a certain type because they need it, but in general, like if you can try and have a nice combination of all of this, which is why when people are applying for jobs, sometimes I say there might just be a gap in that team. Like if you didn't have anyone who was conventional, none of your paperwork or your business stuff's going to get done properly.
No.
You have the enterprises who's constantly sort of thinking of strategic ideas, but not actually into doing. So you sort of need a combination of these, and understanding where you sit helps with that self-marketing, not only choosing a career, but sort of putting yourself in a workplace and saying, this is what I bring. And it's kind of coming from this space. Let's go back to the back to here if I can. So realistic, they're interested in that product and they just do it as their sort of slogan. So machines, tools, I keep trying to scroll on my computer. They really value that tangible accomplishment. So without it, that they feel like they're not being successful or achieving. They see themselves as practical. Others see them as normal and frank, sort of fairly kind of just what you see is what you get. Avoid interaction with people. So rather just go off and do what they need to do. And the type of environment needs to be sort of quite set, quite practical activity. And demands is looking at, what's expected. So that they need to sort of be able to conform to, it might be rules or regulations or things like that. So that's that one. Investigative, they're thinkers. They're based on knowledge. And their slogan is explore it. So they're the sort of, question things, they sort of want that understanding. They want that, they're valuing people's knowledge when they're, in themselves and in other people. They see themselves analytical, intelligent, skeptical. So skeptical is just kind of making sure that they sort of see the different perspectives and question things. And the others see them as introverted because they're a lot in their mind, thinking. You have one of these with that checking authenticity. They're sort of quieter, but inside's ticking a million miles an hour.
Sure.
Avoid that selling persuasion.
Yeah,
And
I hate that.
yeah, environment is sort of analytical troubleshooting type space, sort of where you go solve those problems. And it expects you to be quite skeptical and questioning and solution focused in a work environment. Artistic. Now you had 3 of these. Have you been using that previously as being quite artistic? Has that been coming into your things previously when you're looking at career choices?
No, but I think I should look into it. Because I've started doing photography again. So
okay.
I love it.
Because you're quite creative with that sort of space, I guess, in helping people. You need to be creative to kind of, because everyone's so different, to sort of, when you're working with people, you have to sort of adapt, and that takes some form of creativity. But yeah, coming through quite strongly, isn't it? The artistic. Interesting. So idea orientated, they created. They are, it doesn't have to be art, musical, literary. It's kind of those open-ended sort of spaces. Unconventional, disorderly, and creative is how others see them. But they're open to experience, innovative, intellectual. They avoid routines, conforming, and established rules. Where do you sit with that?
I'm definitely not a huge fan of rules. I believe rules can be bent, even though that's not always a good thing.
Yeah,
I definitely don't like conforming to patterns or workplaces or any of that, unless it's necessary.
Yeah.
And I hate routine, definitely.
Yeah. So that might be why often you come up with those things that are a little bit self-employed, to more of that open space.
Yeah, exactly.
Which might be worth looking at a little bit. So it requires you to have that imagination. So it's the most open personality type of the 6. Which every workplace needs someone to kind of go, hey, but what about this? Or, just to sort of even be able to step back and see things a bit differently, and come up with those ideas. Certainly need them. Our next group is social, and these are all our helpers, lots of service orientated, so lots of the givers. It's huge employment projections happening in this space, of course, with NDIS and all the support roles is massively in this. So talk about it is their logo, sort of talk it through. Helping, teaching, counselling, serving others. Now, you didn't have any of these.
No, interesting enough.
Interesting a lot. Very interesting. Someone who's interested in that counselling space. Interesting. Fostering the welfare of others, empathetic, patient, nurturing, nothing to do with technology or mechanical. As I was setting this up, I was like, yes, no, I don't like technology. Working with others in helpful empathy and in the social, obviously. So, why do you think you didn't pick? Can I just flick that?
Yep.
I'll go through the next one, then I'll flick back. We just have a look at those social ones. Enterprising, these are our business-minded risk takers. Their results, they sort of want those outcomes, get it done. Persuading, influencing, directing. one of the roles that comes up in this, the example they had is like lawyer. So it's sort of quite, as well as sort of business and things like that. But enterprising is one of those employability skills that people are expecting, or CEOs and employers are expecting, to be able to do this, to get people on board, to, sort of, it's almost selling, but it's selling ideas and it's selling systems and it's selling, rather than products. So yeah, it's quite an interesting, I guess, sort of seeking those opportunities as well. Social status is an interesting value there, rather than just that material outcome. Energetic, gregarious, sort of, like they're quite sort of social and interact and sort of, I guess, draw people in as well, not just sort of social for the point of talking, but it's influence. And avoid scientific abstract. So that's your investigative, sort of those thinkers. So it's more like, it's sort of more, it's thinking but it's getting people in with them. So it's kind of got that social aspect as well. So initiative, dominance and confidence is sort of a big one there that's quite different to the others. Okay. And conventional, which you had one of.
Yep.
They're your data orientated, which is why sometimes you were like, you chose it as one you wouldn't want. And they're our organizers, establishing, maintaining routines. They like to set up those systems that you potentially don't want to follow. The rules and the regulations type people. I had a client who was quite in this space and sort of ended up being an auditor, so he'd like to sort of share those rules and regulations with everybody as well. Material, financial accomplishment, power in social, business and political is missing there. Technical skills, careful and conforming, sort of a little bit cautious, a little bit, going to make sure I do it right, rather than that sort of free artistic or the confident enterprise. Avoids ambiguous or unstructured. So those workplaces that just don't have any systems in place, happen for these people. They just won't cope. They'll want to create systems and, structure. They want to know where they stand and whose roles and everything to be really clear cut. Organisation, conform and dependability. Working with things, numbers, machines. So you did have one, the assistant coach. So the assistant kind of comes into that, in that the coach is sort of the driver, the vision, and then the assistant coach. I thought you chose something else there that was assistant. But the assistant coach is more the, okay, now we're going to sort of put that into place. Yeah. So they're the six basically.
Yeah, definitely.
The photography / counselling, that would be a very nice space. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, I just wanted, there is one, I've sent you before to the Surety.
Yep.
So there's a Holland Code test on there that they've adapted to. So it's not the one that I had done and paid for, but it's just a little bit deeper, more extensive than the one, our 6 that we did. So it's a free one on there. I haven't actually done it, but I just saw it. So yeah, if you wanted to sort of explore it a little bit more, but I think usually the proper one is paid.
Yeah.
For Holland's Code. It's a little bit more protected than some of the other ones. And good luck with your exploring.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I look forward to hearing where it takes you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Good to see you, Brandon.
Good to see you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.